who is, of course, a well-known Pico sage and longtime member of the Kollel, the Yachad Kollel, and alumnus of Yeshivas Ner Yisrael, and a friend to probably everyone in this room. So I certainly don't need to say much more than that. Rabbi Amiri, thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you for the new title, Pico Sage. I like that. It means that. B'shud Moradatra, Rabbi Rebach, and Harav Dr. Fox, whom I hope is shipping nachat seeing three of his students following his lead and example in serving the community. You know, between Rav David Fox and his late father, Dr. George Fox, who was a brilliant child psychologist in our community, I think together combined, they have close to a century of history helping our community, LA community at large, and beyond. We've been truly privileged and hope to continue to benefit from your leadership and sage advice for many more years to come. Also, b'shut my dear friends, Rabbi Avi Stewart and Dr. David Rosemary. I wrote a number of pages about the ideas of anxiety that I wanted to share. Then I wanted to make a cute acronym, anxiety, each letter, 7 different topics. When I wrote them, then I tried to say them, and it took about 55 minutes. Then I had a lot of anxiety. Say the rabbis usually speak, they don't have watch. You should give them a calendar next day. So I had to really use one of those techniques myself. The E is standard for expectation. So the idea I wanted to share was the expectation. They say that there's a formula for stress and anxiety. There's the equation. The numerator above the denominator. Expectations over resources. The more expectations we have that we don't have enough resources to meet, then we would have stress and anxiety. So in order to address the stress and anxiety, we either need to decrease our expectation or increase our resources. So I saw that my resources are not more than 15 minutes. I had to decrease my talk. So I'm not talking about all the levels of anxiety, just I'm going to focus on letter N, which I think, based on what I've heard from my clients, dear friends and relatives, seems to be a very important issue. So the N stands for the news. Real and fake news, which we are all dealing with, and I think it's a big source of anxiety for a lot of us, if not all of us. Let's look at the Torah itself. In the Torah, we have few cases of people, or we could talk our avot and imahot, our patriarchs and matriarchs, receiving tragic, anxiety-producing news. How did they respond? So we have Avraham Avinu, whom is told by none other than Og Melech HaBashan, Vayavo HaPalit Vayaged, Og comes and tells him that your nephew is captured. He is a hostage. His life is in danger. How does Avraham respond? We don't seem to see him losing his cool, becoming anxious or panicky. He galvanizes his army, which are his students. Some say about 318 people. Not much similar to IDF that we have nowadays. But he wages a war against the 4 superpowers of the time, the kings. And he not only defeats them, he returns Lot and returns everybody else with Lot. But right in the next parsha, we hear about his wife, Sarah, who hears about the news of her son about to be offered as a sacrifice, and we know, according to many commentaries, because of the news, she passes away. She dies. News has such a power. In this week's parsha, Dr. Fox started talking about it. I got also anxious. He's going to say my talk, but no, he's talking about the beginning of it. It's very hard to speak after him. It's an anxiety producing for me. So Yaakov Avinu received a news which is very similar, sad similarity to us. He is told that his own daughter is raped and abducted, Dinah, by Shechem. Shechem ben Chamor. His father really lived up to his name. He was a real donkey. So then they come to Yaakov for negotiation. Sounds familiar. We want your daughter. Let us do business together. Transactions. How does Yaakov respond? Torah says Yaakov kept quiet. He kept his calm until his sons would come. He would have an advice. He would decide with them and try to see how should be the appropriate response. But the same Yaakov in the next parsha, he is told about the bloody coat of Yosef, and what we hear is unimaginable. He panics. He's filled with pain and anguish. And he refuses. He accepts no condolences. We see the power of tragic news. How people could have different perspectives and reactions, but we see the different sides of the spectrum. So what I want to bring about is for us that even though we are not in a position to judge, as Rav Fox said, the giants of like there's a stature, but we could possibly ponder and understand the powerful effects of negative news so as not to underestimate the dangers lurking within it. As such, it's our holy duty as parents, as the spouses, or as members of the community to keep away and protect our loved ones from the incessant onslaught of the news. We should also be very careful, especially in times like recent, and be very selective of what news we allow our precious eyes to hear, our sensitive ears to hear or see, and our pure souls to imbibe. Here are some suggestions. Think and decide which news sites, or WhatsApp groups for that matter, are safe and suitable for checking the relevant news, hopefully the relevant news. Be aware and mindful that in order to have more subscribers and increase their revenue, all the sites and groups are competing for more eyes and clicks. Their marketing rule is that if you create panic, the audience will click. So many times you see, because of their negiut, their personal gain, they sensationalize, they embellish, they exaggerate, just in order to capture your attention with pictures that might not be even relevant. The results are that for them there is more traffic, and for us there is more tragic. The effects of the news lingers in our minds, in the recesses of our subconscious. It continues to haunt us for the rest of our day. If the site or the group or the chat doesn't feel emotionally safe, just avoid it or leave. As far as I know, I don't know if Rabbi Fox is going to correct me, I haven't seen there is a mitzvah to get updated by news every hour or every day. It's not part of the 613 mitzvot. We get fooled that if I don't check the news, then I'm an aloof, uncaring person. But no, that's not the case. If you really want to care about the hostages or the soldiers of Eretz Israel, you could be part of one chat of Tehillim. They post the names, take one name, say some Tehillim, say Nishmat, whatever else you want. But to be part of so many different groups, I have seen khurban, so many khurbans happening for many people. As far as timing, try to avoid the late evening or late night checking the news. At the end of the day, it has a couple negative effects. Besides the famous effect of the screen light that wakes up the beta waves, we're going to get, rather than getting into alpha waves at night to go to sleep, it wakes us up. Any kind of a screen, or phone, or computers, anything that we look at. Besides that, right before going to sleep and looking at these things is going to induce insomnia, the obvious frightening effect of having these dreadful images on our mind and having it disturb the sleep or even nightmares at times. It's also imperative to be aware how much time is daily spent on such a thing, checking the news. We cannot say set time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Each individual is different. What I've suggested to some of my clients, and they report back that it's been effective, is the following. I told them for every 5 or 10 minutes you're checking the news, take a break and say some Tehillim. Why? Because there is a negative energy which is being produced within us. By doing so, we do something meaningful, helpful. And in somewhat we feel control that we have over something. There is a venue for catharsis and release of the built-up tension. A number of years ago, a distant relative of mine sent me a video in WhatsApp late at night, very late. I was foolish to open it. I wanted to go to sleep, just maybe let me check what he sent. It was at the beginning of the ISIS wreaking havoc. And we have just heard the name, we didn't know what's ISIS. I remember vividly for the next 3 minutes, I was shocked in disbelief seeing images of these barbaric animals shooting at, beheading, burning their own people. Couldn't sleep that night. Couldn't sleep. I told him that next morning I sent him a message that please do not share with me any of these things, which he defied, he ignored, and he sent another one. I deleted everything he sent, and I blocked him since this number of years. He has my number, he can call me or send me a text, but WhatsApp, I'm not going to take any more messages. But why do I share this with you? Because BLM doesn't stand for Black Lives Matter. It stands for WhatsApp group rules that block, leave, or mute. That's what BLM stands for. You have the power, you have the permission, you have the courage. So many people says that I'm embarrassed. They added me to this group. What can I do? I had a friend who called me and said that my wife is frozen. Why? She's part of different chats, Tehillim group, Nishmat group, Havrashat Chala group, this group, that group, and she has accepted upon herself a number of different things to do, and she's doing them. Kol hakavod, wonderful, continue. But she just received the message, a 12-year-old girl has leukemia, and please, we need another group of people, 40 days to do something else. And because we have a 12-year-old daughter, she is petrified. She associates, oh, my daughter. She feels guilty. If I don't accept upon myself another thing, maybe God would punish me with my daughter getting leukemia. So she's frozen. She's crying. I told him, tell her to get out of the chat. It doesn't apply to all of us. Some of us can handle and understand, to be selective, but many can't. And if that's your case, have a Rav, Rebbetzin, or a mentor. Talk to them. You don't need to be accepting upon yourself anything that comes your way. I remember a meme that was sent about 20 days, 30 days ago, because we get so many chats, say this, tell him, do this, do that. Somebody said, jokingly, he said that, for the soldiers, so far I have finished Tehillim, Shira Shirim, Sefer Iyov, Yirmiyahu, Yeshayahu Hanavi, and all the Zohar, and I'm about to embark on the Kabbalistic writings of Ramchal. Wish me luck. Because he got so many messages, this is what you need to do for the soldiers. We don't need to. Talmud says, Shelosha chayehem einam chaim. There are 3 groups of people that their lives are not a pleasant life. Rachmanim, Haratchanim, Va'aninei hada'at. People who are compassionate, people who get angry easily, and people who are very sensitive. Rachmanim is one of our features. Harachmanim, Baishanim, Megom lechasadim. We are compassionate Jews. How could it be that Shelosha Chaim people, these people don't have life? Rashi quantifies. What do you mean by Rachmanim? Rachmanim yoter midai. They are exceedingly compassionate. They don't know how to regulate their compassion. Overly merciful. It's a message for us nowadays. We want to do more. We want to be more. We want to help more. But be aware, we don't need to be overly compassionate at the price of our own health and our loved ones. Wishing everybody hearing happy good news.